Okay, guys. This is Wolf Girl. And this is Sakura's second video being worked. We did do round pin work yesterday. But a couple little things before we go into the video. We do I do cut the video a little short. We have some pretty nasty weather move in, and I'd hoped I'd gotten to the barn in time to beat it, but I didn't. So we worked through a little bit of it, and then it came on the radio, and so we went ahead and cut it short. I just breezed through her right side with the saddle that I didn't do on camera. I did it off camera. And also, we don't do too much trot work or heavy work on the lunge line because we are inside in the arena. Dirt and flooring is pretty hard, and I'm not really looking to ask for that much right now. So we'll go ahead and move into this. And she's been doing extremely well. Anybody who watched her last video was her first time on the lunch line with me, and it was a mess, to say the least. So she was really, really reactive. She got confused a couple of times. So I addressed a lot of those issues yesterday in the round pen, and she did much, much better today. So I start her off, I'm just kind of moving her over, getting her out of my space a little bit, because she is very in your pocket filly, which I do like. And I also like the fact that she does have a little bit of sass and some fire to her when she really wants to. So here I'm just moving her out. I'm just keeping her at the walk. I'm not really looking for perfection yet. She's not 100% paying attention to me. She's kind of really preoccupied with the nasty weather outside, the other horses, her friends. So I'm not really looking for a bent in head yet or a curve to her body. I'm really looking for her just to move off when I ask without it being a big deal. And I will probably ask for a bit more attention, a bit more correct movement. Tomorrow when I work her, each day I'll ask for a little bit more. She's extremely smart. I don't see it being a problem. So I kind of get after her a little bit here. She wants to stop and say hi to her friends. And there, when you noticed me tugging on her head, she was pulling on me just a little too much there, and really not looking at my direction at all. Um, so I was kind of just bumping her head a little bit to kind of bring her in. The lunge line that I use is a very bungee-like material that has a lot of give to it. So the minute she gives even just a little bit, it gives her kind of an instant release. So it's my favorite lunge line. Very nice, soft cotton. I use it for everything. So here I grabbed the whip, and we did lots of work desensitizing to that yesterday. So she's figuring out that it's not something you need to run away from. And I'm just giving her some time here to figure out what I'm asking her and to go ahead and move off for it. And like I said, if you've seen the previous video, she's doing extremely well here. She's not reacting to my pressure in a way that just throws her way off balance. So I touched her with it here because she was kind of cutting me in a little bit. So her circles aren't very perfect. I cue her off to trot. She did it very nicely, so I didn't get after her at all. She loses it here, so I'm just going to kind of push her up back into it. And then I go to ask her to stop, and unfortunately we stop off camera. But she does very well. She's not pushing through me anymore. She's stopping when I ask her to. And then I go ahead and ask for the change of direction. I didn't need the whip this time. She's really getting it down, not overreacting to it. So I'm going to push her back up into the trot. I'm kissing to her. She didn't want to. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Finally kind of bring the whip out, and she just kind of moves off into it. Now her head's still poked out a little bit. She's not, head's a little high, nose is out. But like I said, I'm not at looking for perfection. I push her a little further here because she stopped. Then I ask her for the stop. I didn't want her to fall out of the trot until I asked for it. And that's about all we do on the lunge line. I'm really, like I said, the ground's really hard, so I'm not trying to do a whole lot of small circle work. Here I tried to break her in. I'm looking for her to kind of follow that pressure, turn in and look at me. And she does. So really there's just lots of little things I'm kind of working at, refining, but I'm not focusing on it so much to where she gets bored. I mean, she is only 3. She's had very minimal work done. I think total she's had maybe 2 rides, and they were both for very, very short amount of time. So she's not broke by any means. Another thing we've been working at is just disengaging the hip, moving off of that pressure, and knowing that it's okay to move your feet when you're uncomfortable. I've watched some videos sent from the previous owner, and when she was saddled or being worked, it was usually a two-person job. We had one person holding the horse and one person working with the equipment. So she was really she handles it well, but she wasn't moving her feet. She didn't have the option to stand still on her own, which is what I'm giving her here. I don't really have a tight hold on her. I'm not asking her to stop. I'm just gonna keep going and waiting for her to just kind of relax, stop on her own. But we just keep kind of working with it. And again, I'm not asking for any kind of stop. I'm just waiting on her to do it naturally. I want her to be able to handle her own emotions. I don't want to handle them for her. So this needs to be her choice and not something that I'm making her do. Also, I've gotten a pretty good idea of where her buttons are, what she can handle, what makes her nervous. So I've stopped kind of baby stepping around her and pushing buttons, and I've just started flinging things around. I'm really not trying to babysit her feelings. I'm not trying to babysit what I think she's going to freak out about. And this side she does excellent. I haven't added too much energy into the whip yet. That'll be tomorrow. We'll step it up. Like I said, each day I add a little bit more pressure. I ask for a little bit more perfection. So she's just going to be slow moving, which is fine with me. I'm not in any hurry to get on her. She's only 3, and like I said, she's really not had a whole lot done. So until I have her exactly where I want her on the ground, I'm not going to get in the saddle because it just is not going to make any sense to her, and it's not going to be safe for me. So she's learning very well to disengage her hips. She does still walk forward. I'm not really looking so much for her to pivot on her front and disengage her hips at the same time because she's kind of a sticky filly. When I first started asking her to do this, like right here, you can kind of wonk on her pretty good with the lead rope and she's not gonna move. So she gets a little stuck and she's not real sure what I'm asking. So the fact that she's still kind of moving forward, I'm okay with. I'm gonna let her move her feet. As long as she's moving them and she's going in the direction I'm looking for, I'm okay with it. And that's really all the work we do. I do these things every time we work together. We work on moving off of the pressure, desensitizing a little bit to some of the scary sounds before I move on to the next step or I add something new. So I don't spend a whole lot of time on them. I just do a little bit each time, and she's picking it up brilliantly. She's extremely smart. So here we're moving on to the saddle pad. And like I said before, from what I've seen of her previous work, she's not really had the opportunity to choose to stand still. So this time this is the first time I've had the saddle pad or saddle out with her. And I'm really just wanting to fling it up there. I'm not trying to make it careful. And you can see here, I kind of gave her a little bit longer of a lead rope. And she wanted to kind of move off. She did a really good job. So here she decides that she's kind of done with this session, so she kind of walks off. So I kind of bring her to a stop, and again, we're going to just kind of keep working on just flinging stuff on her. And my goal here is for her to be able to stand with the loose lead rope. I want that dip in there without her being, feeling like I'm making her stand there and deal with it. Even if she'll do it, it's not my goal. So she does a really, really good job. And again, this is also one of those things where I tell you when I start working with the saddle next, I don't do her off side, I don't do the right side, just because of the weather, but I do it off camera. So here she gets a little concerned. She wants to move, which is fine. I let her move. I just keep with her until she decides to stop. And she keeps getting distracted by this nasty wind that's outside. So she's doing really, really well. She's not too worried about it. So again, she kind of moves off. I let her kind of walk around, and then when she stops, I remove the pad. So after I've taken it on and off, so the next thing I'm trying to do is I'm really just wanting to make sure I can kind of throw it everywhere. So I move it back on her hind end. I let her walk off, feel it moving around in weird places. As most people know, anybody who knows how to has horses, odd things happen. Things can be touched anywhere at any time. So I take it off, I put it back on her. This time I put it up on her neck. I let her walk around with it. She was a little hesitant at first, and she's like, oh, okay, no big deal. And as you can tell, she's really kind of bored with it. She's like, okay. So she kind of moves off here. I just kind of let it hang on. And then we let it fall off. There's no reaction. I'm extremely pleased with it. So that's about all the work we've done as far as the saddle pad itself goes. And again, it's more just flinging it up there, leaving it. So she's slowly figuring out that, she can stand and hang out and do whatever it is she wants to do, as long as, she's being polite about it. So here I just kind of ask her to stop. She wants to kind of walk off. She's getting a little nervous, a little bored with it. So, like I said, the weather outside, the wind and rain is really getting to her. We have a metal barn, so it's pretty loud in there. So this time I just kind of start making some noise on the saddle pad. She gets a little concerned the first time. I like doing it on the opposite side also, so when I'm standing on her left side, I like to reach over and tap the right side. I think it helps a lot when you have a horse that is calm when you're on that side, but then something happens and they can't see it. So I like to do things from the opposite side of the horse. I just think it helps them deal. So I let her check out the saddle, smell it a little bit. I know she's had one on, but I kind of try and treat it more or less like she hasn't or that she doesn't really know about it. And I also like to let them follow it the first couple of times because it seems to make it a little less scary. So here I do ask her to stop and then I throw it up there. I do let her kind of walk around before I ask her again. So this is the first time she's had a saddle on, my saddle or with me. And then as you can see, each time I kind of toss it up there, she wants to kind of move around a little bit. So she's still a little unsure about it. And I just kind of let it fall wherever it does. I just kind of move it around, I shimmy it. I don't cinch it up today. I'm really just looking for her to just realize this is normal, everyday thing. It's not a big deal. So she stands still. I take it off and I set it on the ground. That's really all I was looking for today. And I expect her progress to move very nicely. She's been doing such a good job. So the next thing that I start doing with her is I've noticed that she's just a little heavy in my hand. So I want her to start kind of following some pressure. She gets a little sticky here. She's not 100% sure what I'm looking for. So I just kind of hold the pressure until she kind of figures it out. And I kissed her a little bit just to kind of get her moving. And she did really, really well there. Again, she's an extremely smart filly. So I gave her a second there because she started looking and chewing. She definitely figured it out. And then we're going to go the other direction. And she actually does much better this way. Most horses that I found on when you're working on their right side, they it seems to be their offside. She actually does better on her right. So here, she didn't really stop and look at me, so I didn't give her so much time to relax, and I kind of tip her towards me and ask her to move her hip because I'd like for her to stop and face me. And she wants to come in. I give her a minute. She's checking out her pads, she's checking out all the equipment, and I definitely want to encourage that. So I give her a second here. So the next bit is just working on some little cinching with the lead rope. She has a tendency to kind of get a little snippy about it, so I just kind of go through the motions of tightening up the lead rope and the lunge line, just pressure release, pressure release. Now, here as you see, I like to put it around their stomach and then loop it through. So when I go to pull on the lunge line, it also pulls on their head and their stomach at the same time. So it kind of simulates when you start riding, when the horse goes to turn, that pressure from the cinch or the girth, and also the pressure from being pulled on in the face. So it's one of the things I like to do. So I start sending her off here just to get her used to it. And then as she's moving around, I'll pull on it a little bit. And then when I ask her to stop, I also like to just kind of put some pressure there. That way she can get used to that feeling. So here I get ready to ask her to stop, and I go ahead and pull, and she does a very good job here. She's licking and chewing, and that's all I do. I don't do it a whole lot, as this is her first time doing it. So I go ahead and that's it. She did a very, very nice job. But I think it helps a lot because when you first go to get on your horse and you're asking them to flex, you're asking them to bend their rib cage, and the cinch moves and tightens a little bit in weird places, and it's not something that they're completely used to. And I really think this helps a whole lot in keeping that horse's head tipped just a little bit while still feeling the pressure on their barrel. And then at this point, unfortunately, the weather starts to get pretty yucky. Kind of comes on the radio that, probably shouldn't be outside in this nasty kind of weather. So I go ahead and end it early. I finish up on her other side off camera, but that's about it. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are enjoying Sakura's progress. I think she's doing wonderfully. Like, comment, follow if you'd like to see more videos. And until next time, guys, keep riding.